Quartermaine reporting from Phnom Penh. We got back to the city last night. Beautiful weather this morning here, and the city has changed rather dramatically since I was last here about 7 years ago. Huge skyscraper buildings, lots of traffic, lots of tourists, nice restaurants, and a pretty good hotel. I'm safely back at home in Bangkok, and there's no reason not to be. Cambodia is pretty safe these days, except for the traffic and the awful state of some of the roads. However, huge strides have been made, even compared to when I was last in Phnom Penh 7 years ago. My professional work is in rural development, so I always hope for progress. COVID hit hard, but not as hard as elsewhere, thanks to tough and rapid government intervention. Cambodia was better off than most of Europe and North America. Tourism to sites like Angkor Wat has bounced back. Still, this is a channel about books, so why Cambodia? Well, it's topical. You may have heard of The Killing Fields. It was a historical film about the brutal civil war in Cambodia when the communist Khmer Rouge under Pol Pot seized power in the 1970s. It's based on the true story of Dith Pan, a photojournalist who escaped the genocide in his native land. Around 2 million Cambodians were slaughtered by their own people for no other reason than being in the wrong social class or being educated. You could be killed for wearing spectacles or having soft hands of an office worker, or expressing an opinion. Cancellation was not virtual by smartphone, it was terminal by some kind of agricultural tool. These days, we probably need to know about such catastrophes. And pretty clearly, they're not confined just to countries like Cambodia, a long way from North America or Europe. So, there are lessons to be learned. The modern cityscape facade that I've just shown you of high rises, smart restaurants, and a thriving economy disguise a much bleaker history. I've used Cambodia, perhaps a little unfairly, as my model of a developing country in the chapter of my book, Rivers of Aid, Stories from the Poor Countries. Jamrovia is a fairy story about a country of peaceful, kind, but exploited and oppressed peasants, ruled by an evil prince. I quote from the book: "All was well for thousands of years. The Jam grew rice and corn and fruits and fished in the many rivers around the great bountiful lake. But over the horizon, clouds gathered. Unpleasant, strict and overly serious white people introduced ideas like equality and democracy. Some of the Jam, who had ventured abroad, even learned a more extreme version called communism. These folk called themselves the Raspberry Jams, and they booted out the evil prince and his friends. They killed as many people as they could, hoping that things would get better." Well, please do buy the book and see how it ends for yourself. It's an allegory for the development world that my book deals with. Good intentions by decent, liberal, well-meaning but naive foreigners, followed by atrocities, war, and eventual dictatorship, and money flowing like a river. I've another chapter in the book about the real Cambodia, which, despite the gloss, remains a hub for international human trafficking. Once again, it's a broader subject than the country itself. You may have seen the recent movie Sound of Freedom, or my video on the subject. All being said, if you'd like to read in more depth serious history, here are a couple of books written by real scholars. David Chandler is an American academic and is regarded as one of the foremost Western scholars of Cambodia's modern history. His History of Cambodia is praised by the Journal of Asian Studies as, quote, an original contribution superior to any other existing work, unquote. I have Joel Brinkley's book, Cambodia's Curse, on my shelf. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his reporting on the fall of the Khmer Rouge. Returning to Cambodia in 2008, he looked behind the burgeoning skyline of Phnom Penh, and he discovered a venal government and the psychological and social afflictions of the Khmer Rouge era being inflicted on the next generation. I don't feel it's so bad now, but the book is worth the read. Sadly, Joel Brinkley died aged only 61 in 2014. I'd like to know what he'd think of Cambodia today. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, comment. I really enjoy feedback. Thanks very much. See you next time.